Who are you? When you stand in front of a crowd and have to introduce yourself, you generally pull your answer from two distinct buckets. First is your individual identity. These are the specific traits that make up your sense of self, your name, your personal accomplishments, and what you choose to do in your spare time. Second is your collective identity. This is the combination of beliefs, values, and history you share with a larger group. It is how you categorize yourself as a student, a teenager, or a member of a specific cultural background. If you asked your great-grandparents that question, they had an easier time answering it. They follow traditions passed down by people closest to them. For most of human history, your identity was an assignment handed to you by your geography, not a choice you actively made. Today, we live in a pluralistic society. A pluralistic society is a community made up of many different cultural, social, and political groups living together. This coexistence has shattered the isolated, traditional communities of the past. Because of globalization, you now have access to the entire world's cultures, ideas, and beliefs right at your fingertips. As you grow up, you have to actively sort through those global influences to decide what elements you will keep in your life and which you will reject. That global access gives us the freedom to assemble who we are, but rubbing all those different cultures together creates massive friction. Global interaction and trade can create entirely new collective identities. The Métis people are often called the first Canadians because their distinct identity was formed out of the early intermarriage of First Nations and Europeans during the fur trade. We see similar evolutionary shifts when globalization forces entire populations to physically move, like the Hmong refugees arriving in North America. This chart shows the Hmong's cultural changes. In Asia, traditional culture prioritized extended families living together. In the US, clans were split up. Children became English interpreters, weakening traditional parental authority, while new ideas challenged patriarchal traditions. The physical relocation of a population through globalization forces the core pillars of their collective identity to adapt to survive in the new environment. Language is the primary way we express our worldview and give meaning to things. If you speak a minority language, that language acts as an even stronger anchor for your collective identity. Canada operates under official bilingualism at the federal level, meaning French and English have equal status. This protects and validates multiple linguistic identities at once. But sharing a global stage introduces new tensions. When cultures mix, they engage in cultural borrowing, taking ideas, customs, and social behaviors from another civilization. Sometimes this is benign. Travelers might sew a Canadian flag onto their backpack to differentiate themselves and ensure they aren't mistaken for an American abroad. The dark side of this pluralistic exchange is cultural appropriation. Consider the Maori art of Ta Moko. These intricate facial tattoos carry deep ancestral and collective meaning. When non-Maori people adopt these designs simply as a trendy fashion statement, it sparks intense controversy. We see this same tension when massive corporate sports brands use indigenous imagery and slurs as their mascots. These conflicts play out locally, where groups challenge team mascots for treating their heritage as a brand to sell merchandise and tickets. The line between harmless borrowing and toxic appropriation is crossed when someone else's deeply inherited identity is treated as a disposable costume. Identity in a globalized world is no longer a static box you're placed into at birth. It is a constantly evolving, active process. Look at the brands and the physical clothing you choose to wear. Look at the origins of the major ingredients sitting on your dinner plate. Listen to the slang you use, and look at the media you consume. When you piece all those individual choices together, you are a walking, talking map of global trade and cultural exchange. The challenge of living today is figuring out how to construct your own assembled identity while maintaining respect for the inherited identities of the rest of the world.